Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something I think a lot of people are really interested in right now,
Okay.
and that's mindfulness, and how it connects to this idea of spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
So we're going to be diving deep into an excerpt called Living in the Present Moment, Mindfulness as a Gateway to Spiritual Awakening.
I like it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, we all have these moments where we're just kind of
Yes.
overwhelmed with thoughts about the past, anxieties about the future.
That's
And today we're
true.
going to try to unpack how mindfulness can help us kind of break free from all that mental clutter
Hmm.
and tap into a deeper sense of peace and purpose.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's a great way to frame it. You know that this idea of spiritual awakening
Yeah.
can sometimes feel a little bit out there,
Right.
but really what it's all about is a shift in consciousness. It's
Yeah.
about having a deeper understanding of ourselves and
Right.
where we fit into the bigger picture of the universe. And what's really cool is that there's actually growing research showing that mindfulness can be like a really practical tool
Yeah.
to help us move in that direction.
So it's less about like, the woo-woo and more about
Yeah,
like
exactly.
some actual tangible benefits.
Yes, I see science-backed benefit.
Okay, I like that. But before we go too far, can we just break down what mindfulness actually is? Because
Sure.
it seems like it's kind of one of those buzzwords that everyone's throwing around.
Right. It is a bit of a buzzword these days, but it's more than just that. It's really a practice. It's about purposely focusing your attention on the present moment and accepting it without judgment. It's like hitting the pause button on that constant chatter that's always going on in our minds.
I used to think meditation was like Crane,
Right.
only for like,
Yeah.
yogis up in the Himalayas or something.
Right.
But I actually
Yeah.
recently tried one of those guided meditation apps.
Yeah.
And it was surprisingly helpful for dealing with work stress. I actually felt calmer and more focused.
That's awesome. And that's a really common experience. Research is showing that even just a few minutes a day of mindfulness practice can lead to a decrease in cortisol, which is that stress hormone. And over time, it can even rewire your brain,
Okay.
leading to actual physical changes like increased gray matter in the areas of the brain that are associated with self-awareness and emotional regulation.
So it's not even just like a feeling. It's like
Right.
actually changing
Yeah.
the structure of our
Yeah.
brains.
Exactly.
That's incredible. But how does this all tie back into this idea of spiritual awakening?
Yeah, that's where it gets really fascinating. So a lot of spiritual traditions, they talk about the importance of transcending the ego. That sense of self that's always gets
Good.
caught up in worries and desires. And mindfulness helps us to observe our thoughts and emotions without getting so identified with them.
So we're not necessarily swept away by every thought or feeling.
That's
We're
pretty-
more like
Yeah.
a detached observer.
More like a witness to what's happening. And this detachment can lead to a profound sense of peace and freedom. It allows us to connect with a deeper level of awareness, one that's often described as interconnectedness
Yeah.
with everything around us. And that's really the essence of spiritual awakening.
And so we're moving from this limited, very self-centered perspective
Right.
to something that's more expansive,
Okay.
a wider view of reality.
Yeah, it's like we're shifting from a very narrow lens
Right.
to a wide angle lens.
I like that. So how do we actually cultivate this kind of mindfulness in our everyday lives?
Well, there are a lot of different techniques, but some of the simplest ones include just focusing on your breath, paying attention to the sensations in your body, or practicing mindful walking, where you're really tuning into each step and the sensations of your feet on the ground. Even something as simple as eating a meal with full awareness can be a mindfulness practice.
I've heard about that mindful eating. Isn't it
Yeah.
about like savoring each bite and like
Yeah.
noticing the flavors and
Yeah.
textures?
It is. It's about really being present
Mm-hmm.
with the experience of eating.
I have to admit, I'm usually like scarfing down lunch at my desk while I'm answering emails.
I think a lot of us can relate to that, but even just taking a few mindful breaths before you start eating can help you shift into a more present state.
Okay.
And as you practice this, you might find that you naturally start to slow down and appreciate those everyday experiences more.
So it's almost like mindfulness is a muscle that we can strengthen.
Exactly. It's like a mental muscle. The more we use it, the
Yeah.
stronger it gets. And the easier it becomes to tap into that sense of presence and awareness.
Even when things are really hectic and chaotic.
Exactly. It's not about achieving some perfect state of stillness. It's about cultivating an awareness that can be with us no matter what we're doing.
This has been so insightful. I'm starting to see how mindfulness isn't just about relaxing or de-stressing.
Yeah.
It's really about a pathway to
Oh,
a deeper understanding of ourselves and everything around us.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. That's what it's all about.
Any final thoughts for our listeners
Yeah.
before we wrap up?
I would just say, remember that spiritual awakening is a journey, not a destination. So be patient with yourself. Experiment with different mindfulness practices and notice how even those small moments of presence can have a big impact
Mhm.
on your experience of life.
That's beautiful. And I'll leave our listeners with this question to think about.
Okay.
If mindfulness is this key to unlocking
Yeah.
a deeper awareness, how can we start to integrate it, not just to our quiet moments,
Yeah.
but also into the busyness of our everyday lives? Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.